You're listening to BBC Radio London's Breakfast Show. I'm Vanessa Feltz, thrilled to have your company today. It's 7:47 in the morning. It's the 26th of October. We've had the big Heathrow decision, and the decision is yes. The government says yes, it's given the go-ahead to a new third runway at Heathrow, igniting all manner of different emotions and responses. Of course, we're keen to get yours. 0207 224 2000. Another London story. This is an ongoing saga. You will have heard of it before on this programme. You will have read about it, seen it. I only hope you haven't experienced it. It is the story of the Croydon Cat Killer, and it does continue. The RSPCA is now working with an animal charity based in South Norwood to help track down a serial cat killer. We have discussed this before on the programme. Cats have been found with their heads and tails cut off, first in Croydon and more recently in a number of other locations. The RSPCA has carried out a number of post-mortems and believes the cats have been killed by the same person. We're going to speak to them shortly. But first of all, I'm joined by Tony Jenkins from the South Norwood Animal Rescue and Liberty Society. Hello, Tony. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Vanessa. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I mean, what progress have we made now in catching the Croydon Cat Killer?
Sadly, there's very little progress. We're dealing with what seems to be a very clever psychopath. He's killing cats all over the place, leaving the dismembered bodies mostly for me to collect. He's not leaving any clues, unfortunately.
I mean, people are still astounded by this, Tony, aren't they? As I know you are yourself. People think with CCTV, more frequent in London than any other capital city in the world, how could somebody not see someone with the dead body of a cat? And how could somebody not see them coming, going? It seems amazing that nobody's seen anybody acting suspiciously, doesn't it?
Yeah. He's operating under cover of darkness mostly, and do you know what, Vanessa, there isn't as much CCTV as people think. The other day we went to collect a body in Wallington, and I noticed a number of CCTV cameras on the building next door. I quickly located the managing agent.
Yes.
I walked in, I said, look, there's been a cat murdered, can we have a look at your CCTV? And he says, oh, they're dummies. And I said, but they're wired up. He said, yeah, I know, they're very convincing, aren't they? And I just thought, what? What's the point of wiring up CCTV if they're not actually real cameras? He's just avoiding them.
Do we have any idea of the death toll of the Croydon Cat Killer's haul of dead cats now? Do we know?
Well, like I said, sorry, I'd rather you didn't say Croydon Cat Killer. We have actually had victims outside of Croydon say, oh, I just thought it was happening in Croydon, so I let my cats out. Because people just see headlines.
So how far afield is the killer casting his or her net then at the moment?
We've got confirmed cases, and when I say confirmed, they've been post-mortemed by the vets. We've got Manchester, we've got Birmingham,
we've got Maidstone,
we've got St Albans, Northamptonshire. We're awaiting results on Margate. And I've recently picked up bodies from Nottingham and Sheffield.
And genuinely, we think this is the same person?
Post-mortem,
driving miles across the country to target a single cat and then driving back again. That's astounding, isn't it?
I think this is probably someone who has got a respectable job of some description, who travels to all of those places, and the post-mortem results on the 35 bodies that have been carried out thus far suggest the same person.
That is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, operating in a certain catchment area of South London, all right, slightly venturing outside to the tune of a few miles, all right, but going to Manchester to kill a cat, especially coming back again, that seems amazing, doesn't it?
It's probably he had a job up there. It seems that wherever he goes, he kills a cat.
Absolutely remarkable, isn't it? And there's been no ceasing. There's been no diminishing of the numbers, despite all the radio broadcasting and the newspaper publicity and people being told to keep their cats inside and all of that.
I think recently he's on a bit of a spree. We've been picking up a body a day. I've got to go down to a place called Kingsdown, which is in Kent, later today to pick up the latest victim.
With the greatest possible respect, Tony, what is the point of your going all the way down there to pick up the body of a deceased cat? What is the reason for your going down to do that?
Well, each body is a piece of the jigsaw. The police have a geographical profiler, which might give us some clue. We are hoping, to be honest, that one of these days he's going to a cat will have scratched him and it may have some skin cells under its claws, which would at least give us a DNA profile.
I see.
It's evidence. When we eventually catch this person, we will have a whole stack of bodies that we can prosecute them with. You're right. I mean, sometimes I do wonder myself, what's the point? But the cat's been murdered, and we need to recover the evidence. Quite simply.
And tell me about the instruction, because I mean we've issued it often enough on this programme. If you live in the Croydon area, we have said, and we've only called this person the Croydon Cat Killer just to give an easily memorable handle so that people realise what's going on. We're not in any way attempting to diminish or indeed restrict the area of this person's criminality. Definitely not. It's just a way of making it memorable so that people recognise the story and behave appropriately. So we've been saying, if you live in that area, don't let your cat out at night. Now are you going to say, Tony, no one in the whole country should let their cat out at night?
Well, I think across the country, the majority of the killings across London, I would say anyone in London, be very careful with your cat.
And that's anywhere in London, even North London, even East London?
Yeah, we've had 3 in Walthamstow recently. Unfortunately, one family over the last month is returned and killed the second cat. And we've had 3 occurrences of that where he's returned to the same property and killed the second cat. So I would say anyone across the London area, and in fact across the country, be wary, try to keep your cats in at night, be vigilant. If you find a dead animal, please call us at SNARL. And I say that it's got absolutely no disrespect to the local police or to the RSPCA, but they don't always get out to the bodies. So ring the RSPCA and the police, but also ring SNARL. Because we tend to be, this has become my full-time job.
And the hallmark of this is the cat disappears and then the cat reappears. The cat is now deceased and has its head and tail removed, and that's the key thing. That's how you know.
Not always. Sometimes it's just the head. Sometimes it's just the tail. Sometimes it's head and front paws. We've had back leg and tail taken off.
Gosh.
Sometimes he literally just cuts the cat in half.
Tony, thank you. I mean, every time I speak to you, I say in the least personal way possible, I hope we're not going to have to discuss this again. And then here you are again, and it continues. I'm very sorry. You're covering pretty much a body a day from a wider and wider catchment area across the country. Let us go to Mike Butcher of the RSPCA, who are now on board. Mike, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
What a distressing story, and it goes on and on and on, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I mean, the RSPCA got involved in sort of late last year, and the police are the main investigation. We're sort of backing them up as our SNARL and sort of working together, so we will catch this fellow eventually.
I mean, you keep saying that, but we don't seem to get any further in doing so, do we? I don't understand. No sightings is really remarkable, and also no clues is remarkable, isn't it?
No sightings is remarkable, yeah, and somebody out there must know who he is, and I mean, obviously it's just a matter of time, I'm sure, before we get successful, but I think we have so far been spectacularly unsuccessful, and we have to admit that, and he's still doing it.
Why are we so sure it's just one person, not a whole coven of people? Why do we think it's only one? Because now that the net in the catchment area is spreading wider and wider and wider, wouldn't it seem as though there would be some accomplices on board?
Well, exactly. We have to keep our minds open a little bit on this one, because of course what is the norm is the injuries are the same, so it was no doubt about there's somebody out there with a sharp knife cutting heads off cats, and that's just the way it is, whether it's London or somewhere else in the country who's doing it, and whether there's more than one is the jury's out.
Could it be possible, Mike, that in giving this story publicity, which we do, obviously to inform people, obviously to make people aware, or to broadcast the message, particularly in South London, be careful, don't let your cats out at night, etc. Could it be that in so doing we are inadvertently inspiring copycat killings, and literally copycat killings of cats all over the country? People are listening and copying it.
That's very possible, yeah. I mean, there are some weird people out there, and I mean, look at it. There's not many people who can walk around, find a cat, and cut his head off. It's not something you do, and it's a little bit on the strange side. So
yes.
It's difficult to think there's that many strange people out there, but perhaps there are. But
all right, what do you think people should be looking for? I'm going to ask you that first, and then I'm going to ask you your advice about those who own cats in London. So what should people be looking for? Somebody that you know, somebody who lives near you, behaving in a strange way, hauling sacks or bags in and out of cars, presumably, and then putting them back in again, that type of thing?
I think it's just somebody, if you just keep your eyes open, it's obviously somebody operating at night, and I think we have had a few people video of someone acting strangely and walking about late at night. So I think always just keeping your eyes open, really. But what I would say is, if someone thinks that somebody's acting a bit weirdly or they might be responsible, don't approach them, because one thing is definite is that he has a very sharp knife out there. So don't walk up to him. But if you've got any clues, then ring the RSPCA police or SNARL. But just keep your eyes open, really.
And as far as letting cats out at night?
I think it's very difficult. I know it is. I've said several myself, but I think if they sensible advice to keep them in at night time, and I think that would be sensible advice. But I know how difficult it is, and but I think it's only right to sort of put that out as advice, really.
All right, Mike, thank you very much indeed. So hardly any inspiring news on the story of the Croydon Cat Killer, so named just so you know what's going on. Obviously, we should add, that this person's activities are no longer restricted to Croydon or necessarily the surrounding areas. And no news at all in discovering who this psychopath is. How bizarre. Somebody must know. Somebody near somebody is behaving weirdly in the middle of the night. This is going on at the rate that they're now recovering a body a day. A dead cat a day. Dismembered dead cat a day. So we'll take your calls on that, of course, 0207 224 2000. And we will be straight back with you, lovely listener, after the news, the travel and the weather at 8 o'clock. Thanks, Vanessa. Piccadilly line.